Well, welcome back, guys. We are on episode 19, which is kind of wild.
Yeah, it went by fast. We have officially, we did not mention this in our last
Yeah,
episode, Chris. We have officially surpassed 400 listeners across like Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon. So that's
yeah,
exciting.
that is exciting.
Yes,
So, welcome.
because what
Well,
we're 5 months into doing this.
yeah, and we've hit about 27, 28 states. So,
hmm
pretty
Yeah,
good, pretty good.
we're on a
Welcome,
roll.
welcome to our friends around the country. Welcome to Candid Chats. Um, so today's topic, I think, is going to be super interesting because it's about social media.
hmm
So, Colleen and I are both connected with social media pretty well through personal experience, through our jobs.
hmm
A lot of people also experience it through like clubs and organizations that they're in because that's like a main source of
hmm
communication, which I think is interesting that we've hit that point and everything. It's been like that for a while, but um, with social media, I think that it's super complex in many different situations and across different platforms. And so one of the big topics and a more serious side of things, we'll get more fun things later, but is about mental health and how
hmm
that affects us. So Colleen, you talk about like what your experiences has been with social media with your mental health.
Well, I actually just thought of something that I think I want to talk about first before we roll into that because I think it'll
Okay.
transition well.
Yeah.
Um, for our parents, Chris and I's
Mm,
parents, they're both in their 50s. Social media was very new for them. I feel like we were the first generation that, social media really took over with the millennials and with Gen Z. Um, I know my parents were super weird about social media
oh
when
yeah.
I first got on it. We talked about before we started that we weren't allowed on social media until we were in high school.
Hmm.
And I remember my dad didn't have any social media at all. My mom had a Facebook, but that was it. And I think that was just because she was a teacher and she does like to stay connected with like, students that she had in the past that have graduated and stuff. Um, but I remember asking my parents, like, I wanted to go to a football game in high school to like meet up with some friends that I like had become people I had become friends with on social media that I think were from like I think from London. Um,
Yeah.
and my mom that was just so foreign to them because they don't know their parents, they don't know their background.
Yeah.
Maybe they had heard of their last name, but that was it. And that it was very hard for my parents to break into that. And then when I started dating a guy from London when I was like a freshman or sophomore in high school, that was very weird for my parents. Like, we don't know this kid. Like,
Yeah.
I remember fighting tooth and nail. And we pretty much were only allowed to like hang out in like group settings, stuff like that. And yeah, it was just so weird to them. And
Yeah.
then my mom started to get really relaxed about it with like club sports,
Hmm.
because I was staying in touch with people all over our county and even outside of our county that I was playing club volleyball with. And then she was like, all right, this is kind of cool. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm not sure what your experience was like, Chris, with your parents.
Yeah. My parents still do not have social media.
hmm
My mom like is on a different like apps and stuff that she gets like news and stuff from. So she sees like some TikToks and stuff. My mom has sent me TikToks and stuff that she's seen, and
That's
which is
funny.
weird. But my mom, now that she's retired, she's really into like she's been thinking a lot about like it's really hard for her because she's like, I don't like social like she was like, I social media is cool and it's great in some aspects, but it's she was like, for me, I don't know if I'd like it. But um since she retired, she's like, I want to stay connected more with like some people that I know from work and everything. And so she was like,
hmm
I feel like I should try to get like a Facebook to be able to do that. And I was like, at a minimum, you can get a Facebook, like that's
Yeah.
fine.
hmm
And I think that that would be good for you. But my parents, when I was younger, were very big sticklers on the fact of like, we don't like it, we don't want you to get involved in it, it's drama, blah blah blah,
hmm
kind of thing. But then I mean, like, also, like, my parents also, when I was younger, they were like, I liked at when I was little, I was like, I don't like this, but I mean, I didn't get a phone that had internet on it until I was like in middle school. I got my first cell phone when I was in second grade, but that was because I was on the travel soccer team. So
Jesus.
like,
I was in 7th grade.
yeah, but I was like on a soccer team, so like I had to like communicate with my
Mhm.
mom and stuff. So instead of like, she was like, I'm not going to go to all of your practices and stuff. Like that's kind of dumb. And I was like, yeah,
Mhm.
I don't want you to.
Mhm.
But so yeah, I wasn't allowed to get social media until freshman year of high school, and that was because I joined a new 4-H club where like all of their communication and stuff, you could sign up for either like being in the Facebook group or you
Mhm.
could get like emails. And my mom was like, I hate checking my email. So she was like, I guess just like get Facebook and like do it. And so
Mhm.
I got Facebook and then like Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, all that kind of stuff like later. But
Mhm.
it was interesting. It is interesting. And I
Yeah.
am glad of like we'll talk more about that in a little bit, but like I am happy with like the timeline of like how I was introduced.
Yeah, I think I got social media when I was a freshman. I think I was a little bit before a freshman, but I got my first smartphone when I was a freshman in high school. But I want to say I made like Facebook and like I think Twitter when I was in like 7th or 8th grade, but I think it was off of like our desktop at home. Like I was only
Yeah.
allowed to get on it like if my mom was nearby, type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was also like I remember when I got it when I was a freshman and like kids in my class like would came up to me and were like, oh my God, you got social media. Like
Hmm.
that's so
It was a big
exciting. I'm
deal.
so excited. Like, ooh. And I was like,
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah. Yes.
But,
But transitioning into mental health, I was just curious, with
yeah.
our parents. It'll be interesting when we have kids because
Yeah.
like what social media will be like then, since we kind of were the first generation to start with it. Um,
Right.
but mental health wise, yeah, I think social media has a lot of pros and but also a lot of cons.
Hmm.
I was thinking back mental health wise, like with high school, especially like if I saw that like, people in my friend group had a certain purse or like shoes and stuff like that. Like I was like, Mom, I need that. Like I need that brand. I think especially
Hmm.
from us coming from such a small community, and having such a small high school, I think that there was a lot of underlying competition
Yeah.
that I didn't even realize until after I graduated and got away from it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely had like $150 Rock Revival buckle jeans because that's
Yeah.
what all of my friends were wearing.
Yep.
Um, Definitely stuff like that. I had Michael Kors purses because my friends were carrying Michael Kors purses. I definitely think that it with the trend of style, I think I definitely was paying attention to social media for that. Um,
Yeah.
my this is actually something that has come up in therapy recently. Um, my parents, I like wasn't allowed to have my phone past 10 o'clock, I think, maybe 11, up until I was like a junior in high school. Like I was driving, I had my driver's license, and I would come home from practice, and my mom would take my phone and she would plug it in the computer room and turn it off. And they did that 7th grade till I was a junior in high school. And it drove me insane because they thought that I was staying up all night texting my friends and stuff. And that's why I didn't want to get up and go to school in the morning. We have now talked
Mm.
about it recently, and they have figured out no, Colleen just doesn't sleep at all ever. And she's
Yeah.
just a night owl, and she
Yeah.
hated school and is not a morning person. And like they actually apologized to me and was like, "We're sorry, like we totally like we were gun ho and thought that's what it was." So now with therapy, I have a hard time putting my phone down sometimes, like to go to bed. And um, my therapist and I have talked about this, and she was like, it's not because you can't, you don't want to because you were deprived of that from 7th grade to junior year. So now your brain is like, it's almost like candy when you're a little kid. Now
Yeah.
you can have it whenever you want now. So you kind of overdo it a little bit. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's interesting, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
But when it came to my mental health in college, I definitely would just use it to procrastinate, especially when TikTok became big. Um,
Hmm.
I would lay on TikTok forever instead of
Yeah.
doing my homework. And
Right.
actually, it got to the point where like I think one day I was on TikTok for like 4.5 hours, and I
Oh
was
my
like,
God.
yeah, and I was like, I could have had all of my work done for like this whole week if I would
Yeah.
have been doing homework that entire time.
Yeah.
Um, and then when I started writing the book, I write about some very deep situations in the book, and it can be hard to sit down and tap into that. So I would just stay on my phone instead. So I
Yeah.
actually ended up last semester setting a like you can schedule like how long you can be on certain apps on an iPhone, and I scheduled that I was only allowed to be on TikTok for an hour, which
Mm.
still seems like a lot to me.
That's still a lot.
But
Yeah.
with TikTok, I feel like time just goes by so fast. Like you're
Yeah.
taking in, anywhere from 60 seconds to a 3 minute long video, and it goes so quickly, and you're consuming so much content at once that you don't realize how
Yeah.
much time. I mean, we've all been laying in our beds and said we're only going to be on TikTok for 15 minutes and an hour goes by.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be really, I'm interested to see how much it's going to affect my mental health, like with working instead of doing school.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I've noticed a change because like ever since like I graduated from college, like I don't I don't I don't know if it's like I'm not as interested in social media as much, like on like a personal level
mhm.
or what. Because like I mean like I haven't posted on my Instagram since like February,
Yeah.
which is like wild because usually like when I was in college I was posting like every other month or something.
Mhm.
And so but I think that like I think like it's affected my mental health a little bit just to see things and I'm like, oh my God, like these people are like mean. And especially like on TikTok, like when you see like we've all done it, like we're like we watch a video and we're like, I gotta go see the comments on this video.
Mhm.
And then you go and it's like trash talk, absolutely rude stuff. And it's just like, oh my gosh, like people are brutal. And like the thing
Yeah.
is like you're not helping it because you were like, I'm gonna go look at the comments on this.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I think it's interesting, but also I don't know. But I think that I think that's interesting that you also did bring up the fact of like that your parents like would take your phone away at night, plug it in. My parents didn't do that.
It drove me insane.
Mine didn't do that. And I never really like struggled.
Yeah.
I didn't
Well, I
like
think
stay up all night on stuff or anything.
well, and I think it bothered me so much because that wasn't what I was doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I think and I didn't know how to prove to them that that wasn't what I was doing.
Yeah. But I do like see myself though is like I say that like I might not be as like interested in social media, but the thing is like I'm not on my phone all day while I'm working.
Mhm.
So then I get home and I'm on my phone.
Well, when you said that, this is what I thought of. With COVID, I found myself not on social media very much because what was there to post? Like,
Right.
there was a lot of TikTokers, that blew up during COVID, obviously, because they were home and
Right.
they had the time to make funny videos, and it
Right.
sparked into something that they didn't think would happen. But when it comes to like, people that I know on Instagram and stuff and Snapchat, we were all at home. Like
Yeah. Well, what's there to talk about?
we were all doing the
Nothing.
same thing. So I've actually
Yeah.
found myself within like the past 2 months being on social media more to being like,
Mhm.
what's everyone out doing? Because we can do stuff now.
Yeah,
So I
that's
think,
true.
yeah, I think that played a big part of it. But I think during COVID, that taught me of like, yeah, I can go all day without being on it and the world doesn't end.
Yeah, that's
And
true. That's
during
true.
COVID was also when I got more relaxed about what I was posting,
Yeah.
before. And I think you can contest to this too, that, we would post pictures that like had to be perfect. And
Right.
we would send them in the group chat and be like, which one do you think is better? We would edit them, put the filters on it,
Yeah.
maybe get out a pimple, Photoshop a pimple out, stuff like that. And
Yeah.
like, I love that photo dumps became a thing because it's realistic and it's
Mhm.
more, you know, I hate social media because it's our perfect reel. It is,
Yeah.
the best days of our lives is what we put on social media. So I love that photo dumps became a thing, and it's still filtered in a way,
Mhm.
but not as much as it used to be when we were in high school.
Yeah, I would agree. And I did really like the fact that like you also brought up earlier how much like social media affected me way more when I was like in high school, like those 4 years comparative to like college or like
Mhm.
now. Because
Mhm.
then like kind of like what you said, like yeah, like if you weren't wearing buckle jeans at Madison Plains High School, you were a
Yep.
nobody. And like
Mhm.
I calculated and I had like over $3,000 worth of freaking rock revival jeans at one time. Like that's
That
stupid.
and we don't even wear them anymore.
No, no. So it's just like it's dumb. But I think that like is not great. But I think that all it also just like depends on like how you view social media and like how you let it run your life kind of
Mhm.
thing.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, well,
I
I've
think
as of recently have really been, Instagram implemented the thing where you can take off like the number of likes on your photo.
yeah.
You can still see who liked the picture, but it doesn't like see the numbers. And I have really gone back and forth about whether I should turn it off or not.
Yeah, I've thought about it too because I think that like one thing like to this day even like that bothers me is like I'm like I need to make sure like I get like a lot of likes and stuff. But the thing is like I'm becoming non-consistent on Instagram. So it's like
Mhm.
and their algorithms are changing. So it's harder to get likes now. And
Mhm.
so it's just like but like that shouldn't matter. Like you're posting like
Yeah.
content that you want to share with people.
Mhm.
Who cares like how many people like it or whatever? Like if you like it, go for it. Like that's your creativity, that's your personality. Like show it. Like it's fine,
Mhm.
kind of thing. I've gone back and forth too.
Yeah, well, it's been interesting for me to see like I guess celebrities turn them off and especially turn off the comments, especially as of recently, because like that's their job. Like they make
Yeah.
money from social media. And I actually just listened to the Call Her Daddy podcast that Alex Cooper did, I think like last week. And it's called I Got Caught Photoshopping. And it actually kind of sparked us to talk about this today.
Mhm.
And she talks a lot about, okay, if you're not making money on social media, if it's not giving you anything, if it's not giving you a product, then you are the product. And
Yeah.
that's something that really like they want you to scroll. They want you to like stuff. Like that is Instagram and Facebook, like all the social media, that is their goal is to get you to keep scrolling, to spend as much time as possible on it and to like stuff, to share stuff, to interact. And I never thought
Mhm.
about I've always looked at myself as the consumer. I've never
Yeah.
looked at myself as being the product. And
Yeah.
that really changed my perspective on it a lot.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's so interesting. I, yeah. It's
Especially
interesting.
because
And
like we don't pay for these apps too.
no,
Yeah.
no. And so like it just also like opens up the whole thing of um I was going to talk about this a little later, but um Colleen and I were talking before, and I saw the Social Dilemma on Netflix back when it came out in 2020. And I watched it because our class, like one of my classes in college, were like, you need to watch this. I'd already been thinking about watching it. But like you brought up the fact, like they want you to keep scrolling, they want you to keep liking. And that's exactly what the Social Dilemma is all about. Like it goes in depth, like how they look into your social media content, what you like, what you dislike, kind of thing. And so like even like think about this like when you're scrolling on Facebook, we all get into the videos, like we tap on like a cute dog video or something that we watch, and then we keep scrolling or whatever. And then like you just go back to like whatever. Well, every once in a while, like a thing will pop up, like an ad, and it's
Mhm.
something that they know that you are interested in. So it's like a
Mhm.
cute puppy or something, so because they want you to stay on there longer.
Mhm.
And like they go into like deep into like your stuff and everything. Like it was a like a little meme kind of thing, or like a little like funny video kind of was on there about how there were like people inside your phone like sitting there like waiting on you. They're like, oh, he's slowing down on like his scrolling,
Mhm.
like he's getting less disinterested, we need to pop something more like relevant that like he would like on there, kind of
Yeah.
thing. And it just like also like goes deep into like how it makes people feel and
Mhm.
like the goods and the bads and stuff. Like two other things we're like planning on talking about is like body image, like talk
Yep.
people like how they're feeling about that, like trying to hook these like young teens or like these like middle schoolers and stuff on these like apps and stuff. And honestly, like after watching that, I think that probably also influenced my like animosity towards social media, because I'm like, that's just disgusting. Like
And
it's
I
just
need to
like
watch it.
it's so interesting, and it makes you think so much more about what you're doing and
Well, because
like
it seems
what people
so
know about you.
yeah, and it seems so mindless while you're doing it. 'Cause like
Yeah,
you don't realize till like until watching something like that or until listening to a podcast like this where you're like, oh my God,
yeah,
no, there's so much going into it as I'm doing that mindless scrolling. There's so
Yep.
much behind the scenes and like with technology and with the algorithm that is playing into it.
Yeah. It's so interesting. But like, yeah, I don't know. It made me have a different thought because I mean, I love social media and I think it's great. And overall, like in an overall aspect, I think it is a good thing. But
Hmm.
there are some things like that, like within the social dilemma that they talk about, it just like makes you think, and it's just like this is like awful.
Hmm.
But
Well, let's get into body image because I think that that's a really
yeah.
interesting subject. And I especially want to hear your thoughts on it and if you've had any experience, because I think the body image part really affects women, and young girls. I think that it affects young girls and women a little bit more than it does men. Um, I can talk about my own experience with it. I mean, I guess this is where photoshopping really starts to bother me. Um, and I think the Kardashians are a great example because they all have these amazing kick-ass bodies, and they're sitting there on their phones photoshopping, making their weights just a little bit smaller. I mean, how many times have they been caught in photoshopping fails? You know what I mean? So it's unrealistic of what you're putting out to the public, and I know that mentally, I know that that's unrealistic, but there's young girls out there that don't. I would say where it affected me the most was I will sit and, I love looking at like workout influencers, for example,
Mhm.
and especially like, watching their form, stuff like that. And there's so many times where I'm like, I want to get back in the gym, or, oh, I need to go to the gym today. But then spend the next half an hour looking at these women on social media. And I'm like, hey, I could have already had a half an hour workout done and been closer to
Right.
looking like that. Um,
Right.
I would say that's what has affected me the most,
Hmm.
is just like I could look like that. I just need to put in the work to do it.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it's interesting from a male standpoint
Hmm.
because
I
it's
I
different.
yeah, it's different, but like I also think that I'm similar to what you just said. Like when you go on there, like how many social media like influencers, and like let's specifically talk TikTok, how many TikTok influencers that are on there that are men that are a larger man? Not many.
Mm-mm.
And so like I mean, I know that like I'm not like a larger man or anything like that. But like do I think that do I want to work out more? Yes. Do I have time to work out more? Not really, but like I should make time kind of
Hmm.
thing. But it's also like one of those, it's like, dang, like I'm watching these videos, like 'cause I'm also like see some like fitness and health videos and stuff on my TikTok and or on Instagram or whatever. And like I see it, and I'm like, wow, like I should do that. I'm gonna save that for later kind of thing. But then I spend
Hmm.
time on there and I'm like, I could have just done this already. But then it's also like if you're I feel like bad because like if you're a larger person, like that's completely fine. Who cares? It's your
Hmm.
body, do what you want with it. But then you're watching all these people on there and then it just seems like it's so impossible to get there kind of
Hmm.
thing, you know?
Hmm.
And then also like it just like kind of also like you see like all these people like all these young like these girls like drooling over like someone like Noah Beck. And
Yeah.
like he's a obviously a very fit, like he's an attractive male, but then like it also kind of like gives you a little bit of like, well, I'm never gonna look like that.
Hmm.
Like that kind of like destroys your self confidence in like a way kind of thing. But then you also do see these like fitness and health people that are like, I dropped like 300 pounds and I look great now, and it's like you're a success story. That's awesome. Like that gives me motivation kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting.
Hmm.
And I also like think it's also interesting because like not a lot of I think that like body image and everything like obviously affects women more than it affects men, but it also affects men a lot too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think more so now recently than in the past when social
Right.
media first blew up. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on like photoshopping, altering your body, filters. Let's talk about
Yeah.
that.
I don't do it. I like I use like a filter or two, but honestly a lot of my pictures on social media are not filtered.
Hmm.
And I'm just a person that I like to see the real person. I'm more interested in knowing the real person in comparative to someone that they want me to think that I should see or
Hmm.
they want other people to see. So I understand it in a way. Like, I mean, it's completely fine to like, touch up a few pimples and stuff like that here and there. I mean, I've done that kind of
Hmm.
thing. Like, especially for like if you're getting a headshot done and you're like, doing all that kind of stuff. You want to look your best. And
Mhm.
so like I get that, but I think that my vision of that now is also influenced by the pandemic, because there for like a hot year, all of us were posting pictures of us doing whatever the heck we were doing, looking gross, because
Yeah.
why do we need to look nice?
Yeah.
And so I think that it just like makes you more real. And so I think that that's why I feel that way. What do you think?
I'm borderline on like if I think like celebrities should be able to do it or not. I like to use filters to like make the picture brighter or more
Yeah.
vibrant. Stuff like that. Just make the quality of the picture look better.
Yeah.
And like yeah, like I have definitely edited out a pimple, stuff like that. But I've never, made my butt look bigger. I've never made
Right.
my waist look smaller. I've never done anything that has altered the proportions of my body.
Yeah.
Um, and I really go back and forth on like whether I think that celebrities should be able to. Um,
Hmm.
because I don't think it's right. I
Yeah.
don't I just don't like that why like they and most of them have amazing bodies. That's what makes me mad
Hmm.
about it. Most of them look incredible. Like
Hmm.
they don't even need to alter it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and I understand that it's such a small, thing, but then we also have people out here that have eating disorders and that are
Right.
bulimic and stuff because they saw pictures on social media and they're like, I want my waist to be that small. I'm not going to eat
Yeah.
anymore. Like
Yeah.
there are definitely people that take the unhealthy route because of it. And like that makes me so sad. I like told my mom, we were talking about this the other day, like, I dealt with depression. We've talked about that and some very difficult stuff in my life and stuff that like I could have formed an eating disorder over stuff that
Hmm.
I easily could have adapted a bad relationship with food. And
Yeah.
I'm really glad that I didn't. I'm really glad that that's something that like I've never had to deal with before because it's scary, how many people do.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's nuts. And especially like sometimes I feel bad for celebrities because I'm like they're just held up on this like high pedestal and like they're just people like just like you and I. But I think that there is a realization that needs to be made of there are a lot of people that look up to you and idolize you. They shouldn't, but they do.
Hmm.
And so like by you like making your waist just a little bit skinnier, that's gonna make somebody go absolutely insane and cause a problem within them because they want to look like you
Hmm.
and you don't even look like you on your picture.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think it's interesting.
Yeah, and that's why I go back and forth on it because yeah, I don't know what they're thinking when they're editing that photo. I don't know why they did it. I
Mhm.
don't know why they feel like they have to take their body that already looks great and make it look even better. So that's why I go
Yeah.
back and forth because yeah, I'm not in their shoes. I'm not an
Right.
A-list celebrity. Yeah, I don't have millions of followers.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But
go on.
oh no, you go on.
I was going to talk about next the age limit or like when we think it's
Yeah.
appropriate to
Yeah.
get on social media. So it's actually a law that you have to be 13 to create a social media account in your own name.
Hmm.
Like I remember, I think I waited till I was 13 to make a Facebook. But obviously there's a lot of, I know several people that their birthdays are wrong on their Facebook because they made a social media account and lied about their age.
Yeah.
So do you think that 13 is a good time to get on social media? So what you're if you're 13, you're entering into high school, right?
Yeah. Well,
Because you're 14, 15, your freshman year, 15, 16, your sophomore year. So you're like in eighth grade.
eighth grade. I think that I think that like 13 is like fine, but like I would more so say 16. I think 16 is a good time because
Hmm.
that's when you're slowly integrating yourself into adulthood of like you're getting your driver's license, like you're getting this kind of stuff, like.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's fine, but like for like me, if I had kids, I don't, thank God. But like if I had kids, I'd be like 16 because
Yeah.
you're becoming adult. This is when you can get exposed to more things and it's okay. Because I'm being honest, like in like the world that we live in now, like their younger kids, teens, like world is ran by the internet.
Hmm.
And so that's my take.
Yeah. I think it's okay for 13, but I think that's when the parents need to really be
Yeah.
supervising. I would
Yeah.
say, yeah, 13, 14, 15, like, the parents should really be involved in what they're looking at on social media. And then I say
Yeah.
16, loosen it up, free the reins a
Right.
little bit more, give them more freedom, more responsibility.
Hmm.
Um, it's just hard because 13 is such a interesting because you're becoming a teenager. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Yeah.
but I also think that eighth grade is like junior high is also just a weird year, and I think junior high
Weird.
is a very transitional phase. So I
Yeah.
think if some of those bad things about social media get implemented, then it could
Hmm.
derail your whole adulthood.
I agree. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So then I guess that kind of like also goes into like, did you, when you were growing up, like, did you have like a screen time limit or anything like that?
No, I don't think so. Like I said, I think
Okay.
like seventh and eighth grade, and I think maybe ninth. Um, like I said, like I had to get on my desktop, like at home.
Yeah.
My mom would be in the kitchen or something, pop in
Hmm.
every once in a while. Or like, yeah, like you said, like using it for like organizations and meetings and stuff like that.
Right.
I
Yeah.
but then it was hard because then like so my parents had the philosophy of like, with taking my phone, their philosophy was always, nothing good ever happens at nighttime. And that with social media, it's still gonna
Tina,
be
Tina, Tina always says nothing good happens after 10 p.m.
yep, this is true. She still tells me
So
that.
funny. So funny.
But
So funny.
her point was always like, it's gonna be there in the morning.
Yeah.
You can check it on your way to school.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere. It's still gonna be there.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
teaching me patience. Ugh.
I know. Gross. Disgusting. Um, I was just curious because I know that a lot of like parents now also do like you have so much screen time a night kind of thing or
Well,
whatever.
I think my parents would have, because I know that now you can like implement it on the apps and stuff. And I mean,
Hmm.
they definitely monitored like, how much time I was on it. Like I wasn't allowed on it like before dinner, I don't think. There were some certain rules like that. And obviously during dinner, I wasn't allowed on my phone. Um, but I think if they knew how to set the time limits, they probably would have. I just
Yeah.
don't think they knew social media well enough to know how to even do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's interesting because like I mean we didn't, but like I mean we had like bedtimes like and they were like lights out,
Hmm.
leave it alone kind of thing. But I think it's also now like because as an adult, I check my screen time on my phone
Hmm.
like periodically. Like I look at the
Yeah.
message at the beginning of the
Well,
week.
yeah, and like I flat out said, like, yeah, like I set my own limit on myself because it was
Yeah.
getting out of hand.
Yeah. Mine, I have seen like in college, it was way too much, way too much time. But like
Yeah.
now, like I'm more comfortable with the fact of like I can actually put
Hmm.
my phone aside and like
Yeah.
be okay
Well,
with
it'll
it.
be interesting with my job because like, I there's definitely been a couple times like over vacations and stuff where like I've
Hmm.
turned off all my notifications on everything. I know that
Hmm.
there's some people that just completely delete the apps as a whole, but
Right.
I would just turn off the notifications, check it when I want to. So
Yeah.
then I'm looking at the notification isn't telling me to look at it. And I definitely
Hmm.
think that I just feel more aware like of my
Yeah.
surroundings and my presence for sure, especially on vacation, stuff like that. I'm making memories with my family and stuff. But it'll be interesting because I'm going to feel like I'm going to have to regulate it more when I'm working because like as a journalist, like I use social media to find stories and what's going on in my
Hmm.
community, stuff like
Right.
that. So I think that'll be new for me of having to be like, okay, this is drawing the line between for work and for personal viewing.
Right.
I think could be interesting.
Yeah. It is interesting because like as like myself, like I use my phone for work and like I take phone calls on it, like I do check my email, like I have like our Microsoft Teams stuff on there, like I have everything on there too. And so like it is interesting to be like dividing it up and that kind of thing
Hmm.
instead of getting like sidetracked and stuff, but it is
Yeah.
interesting because then it's also like okay, like you're telling me that I spent this amount of hours on my phone like each day or whatever, but then it's like, but like half of those I had to. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Well,
So
it'll be interesting for me too, like with, being a journalist, I'm sure I'm going to get really criticized for some things and the things I wear, how my hair is.
Right.
stuff like that. So I'm sure that just the comments is something that'll be new for me too, because I'm used to my comments being filled with my friends hyping me up,
Right.
not complete strangers belittling me.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good point.
So yeah.
Yeah. So I think that this is a good time for us to talk about more about our opinions, talk about social media in a positive note, because not everything about social media is negative.
Yes.
um, so I guess like a couple questions that I'm interested to hear from you, Colleen, is like, tell me like what would be your favorite app of choice, or like what do you more navigate towards when like you're in your free time wanting to scroll?
hmm I definitely I've gone in phases. I remember Twitter used to be my favorite app, and
Mhm.
now I get on Twitter like maybe twice a week. So
Yeah.
it is interesting. And like now I'm trying to like think of a world before TikTok. Like how was I still
Mhm.
on my phone so much before TikTok? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would definitely say TikTok is my favorite. I like TikTok a lot because you can learn something, but you
Hmm.
can also get a laugh, but you can also
Yeah.
relate to somebody all within 5 minutes. So I
Oh
love
yeah.
it. It gives me everything I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would say Instagram's my second favorite. I do appreciate the pictures, but I
Yeah.
also like Facebook for more of a connecting with seeing what my friends and family are up to. More of like, I feel like Facebook is definitely for like my older people for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for like work stuff, promoting my book, Facebook is good for that stuff. But definitely TikTok. I find myself checking my email and then TikTok and then Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I relate to that a lot too. I think that my favorite is definitely TikTok. I've learned so much stuff on TikTok with
hmm
like food recipes, like, staying in touch with like what the heck's going on. Like sometimes like I hear about things, like people hear more news stuff on TikTok than like any
hmm
other social media sites, which is like
hmm
crazy.
Which I love that the news has like really picked up on that. Like I love
Hmm.
that journalists and stuff have TikToks and are using that as a platform as well.
Yeah, I agree. And then I would definitely go with Instagram next. I like the picture aspect and stuff. It's cool to like, see. But I also really like LinkedIn, my LinkedIn app on my phone
Yeah.
to keep me connected with like what other young professionals are doing and that kind of stuff. It's also
hmm
cool to like connect, like get like requests to connect with people from like home. And it's like, oh my God, like I could see your job title. I didn't know you were doing that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it would go Facebook and then Twitter for me. I
hmm
do I do like Facebook because I feel like there's still like it's an older generation type thing, but there's so much stuff on there.
hmm Yeah. Well, and
So,
Snapchat is a weird one for me because
oh yeah, I
Snapchat.
didn't even mention Snapchat.
Yeah,
I feel
neither
like
did
it's its
I.
own separate category.
I like circle it more with like I think it is because you are social on Snapchat, but I like
Right.
loop it more into like with like communicating. Like I see
Yeah.
it more
It's
of
like
like
texting.
I loop it in with like FaceTime, my phone, like calling people and texting.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Because
Because I mean,
I don't go to the explore page thing on like
no, I
Snapchat
think
to look around. I don't do
yeah, I
that.
think that's the social media part of Snapchat.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, it's interesting. But so then, what app would you say that you're on the most?
definitely TikTok for sure,
Yeah, yeah, same,
for
same.
sure.
Yeah, used to be Instagram, and I don't know why. I think that I would just do a lot of creeping.
I think I was on Instagram a lot before they changed the setup. So now they put at the top like what they think you want to see. I think I
Yeah,
was on it more when it was in time order because then
yeah,
like it would tell you like, oh hey, this is where you stopped at the last time. So I would sit on it and go through every single post until that popped up of like, you know what I mean? It was satisfying of like I've seen everything all of my followers have posted, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
now I get bored and I get off of it.
yeah, yeah. I agree. Um, I hate the algorithms. I hate when they do new algorithms and crap like that. It's so stupid. I'm just like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. All
Um,
right.
what are you gonna say?
Let I was just say let's talk about like some of our favorites.
One of our favorites.
Yeah, some of like our favorite influencers or favorite type of videos to watch.
Yeah. I really obviously I like cooking videos. And then I like funny videos and stuff like that. But I also like educational things of like I mean like astrology things or
Mhm.
like, you know, like different. For some reason, also, I really like cultural TikTok too. Like for some reason, I'm on New York City TikTok. I don't know why, but I'm on it, and I think it's so fascinating because
Yeah,
I'm like, I
yeah.
don't even live there. So I'm literally on DC TikTok and New York City TikTok, and I'm like, sure. Sometimes LA stuff pops up on there, and it's like, you should go to this restaurant. And I'm like, when the heck am I ever going to go to LA?
Yeah, yeah.
Sure. But so I have a list of some of my favorite influencers that I enjoy watching.
Mhm.
Um, I really got into like Ross Smith and his grandma, like cocaine bro lady. If anybody knows who that is, she's hilarious, so funny. But I got into them when they were on Instagram. It was like way before TikTok even became a thing.
Mhm.
But I think that their pranks and stuff is hilarious. I love the grandma. She's wonderful. She's a nation's treasure. She's also from Ohio. Big stuff there. Also, obviously, a big fan of Brittany Broski. She's hilarious. That
Yes.
the stuff she comes up with just blows my mind because I'm like, you are so funny.
Mhm.
Um, and then a new one that I have really been like liking watching their content has been the Kimukaze. He's his family's Arabic, and like he was born in the US kind of thing, but like they just prank each other, and they're a huge family. There's like 4 girls and he's the only boy, and then his parents, like, and they all live in LA, and he like even creates music and stuff, but he
Mhm.
like pranks his family, and it is absolutely hilarious. His mom is so funny. She starts yelling in Arabic, and like it's absolutely hilarious because she just like starts yelling cuss words, and everyone's like, "What are you saying?" And she's like, "I'm not gonna tell you." Like I think one of the most recent like ones that I watched was he like fake sold his parents' house, and then
Yes.
he like had his friends come in and they were acting like they were realtors, and the one guy like uh Kareem is his name. He like told his mom like they're like trying to like like they want to buy it for like 50 million. She's they want to buy this house for 50 million, and then it was just like, and then she was like, oh, so who is the one that wants to buy? And then she's talking, and she's like, so you want to buy for 50 million? And he was like, whoa, maybe a couple 100,000, like 200. And she was like, what do you think is going on here? You're trying to sell like I'm selling a cucumber? What the heck? It's just so funny.
Yeah.
Um, and then food wise, I really like watching Cooking with Shireen. She's how I learned how to make chicken cutlets.
Mhm.
Chef's kiss. And then a food like Raider slash she has some episodes of her own. Her name is Kathy Quadrado. Her at is Kathy Quad 123, and she is from Jersey, and she is just the most Jersey person that you could ever see, and she's so funny, and she is big. Obviously, she's Italian, and so like obviously I love making Italian food, so it's just super interesting to follow. But a more like in this area thing that I like to follow along with is Overheard in DC, and so they just like literally people will submit like things that they've heard in like the DC area, and like so it just like talks about like that kind of stuff, and it's just like when you live here and like you see that stuff, like you just have to laugh because it's so funny because it's like, yep, that is so true.
Yeah. Yeah. Perks of living in a big city.
Yeah, yeah. What about you? What's your faves?
So my topics are completely different than yours. Definitely on the fitness side for sure. And I love watching. Her name is Barbie Dalte, and she talks a lot about being like a big bodied female, and that like she's trying to be a big body, and like I love that because I feel like I'm a big body, but I would never call myself that. So that when I
Mm-hmm.
heard that term the first time, I was like, oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
And then I love like fashion stuff too, but all of the fashion people I watch actually talk a lot about mental health as well. So I like that
Hmm.
I can go for them for like a fit check, but also like a hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
And for me, that's like Mary CJ Skinner. She's bipolar, she has ADHD and deals with anxiety and depression. So she'll talk a lot about that stuff like while she's doing her makeup and like putting on her outfit, stuff like that. And then the other one is Tinks. I think she has her own podcast and she talks a lot about mental health and just being a woman. And then Ali underscore Yost, I like her a lot too. And she does a lot of acting videos as well, but her account's kind of like a little bit of everything, like workout, fashion, mental health,
Mm-hmm.
everything, which I like.
Yeah.
And then I also follow a couple of news people because I think it's cool that like, to see how their day to day is, because that's going to be my day to day soon with being a journalist. And then obviously humor, like my humor to just be sprinkled in a little bit. But I really recently, and I never thought I would be this person, have fallen in love with ASMR videos, which I used to hate them. They used to drive me crazy. I would scroll past them if I came up on one. But like for like the past 2 months, I cannot fall asleep if I haven't watched a couple of ASMR videos before I go to bed.
What is that?
You don't know what ASMR is?
No.
So ASMR is like like they have the microphones turned up like really high, and they like do like getting your hair done. So they'll make like hair brushing noises and like stuff that's like supposed to like relax you. Everything like they whisper the whole time. It's supposed to like really relax you.
Oh,
And like some of them will
interesting.
eat food. I'm not big into the eating ones. I don't like mouth noises. But they'll like do your makeup or like skincare or stuff like that. Or
Interesting.
like feeling stuff, just like making like certain sounds, like for instance, like tapping, stuff like that.
Interesting.
You've never ended
Huh.
up on the ASMR side of TikTok?
No.
What? There are literally TikTokers that solely do ASMR. Like literally, like one of them I watch is like Hannah G ASMR. Like it's literally in their like at.
Interesting.
I'm gonna need you to do that before you go to bed tonight.
I know. I'm gonna have to look it up because
Yeah,
now I'm
it's
interested.
so relaxing. It's so relaxing. Some of them like are really triggering and I don't like them. Like I'm like, "Ugh," like it makes me feel cringy. But some of them I really like.
Interesting.
That's why I thought everyone knew about that.
No.
I
Not
don't know what
me.
ASMR stand. I don't know if like ASMR stands for something, but that's what they're called.
Interesting. Huh. I'll write
More you
that
know.
down.
I cannot believe that. I thought everyone knew what ASMR was.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think that was super interesting. It's nice to talk about like social media, like the good and the bad, instead of
Yeah.
just like, oh my gosh, But
Well, there's so
so,
many things that you can talk about too. So
oh yeah, yeah, I agree. Cool. Wow, this was fun.
speaking of social media, please check out our Instagram.
Yeah, check out our Instagram. We're gonna be changing up a couple things like on the Instagram the next like coming weeks or so. So
Yes. And
it'll be different.
we do have a TikTok as well.
We
And
do.
within a couple of those changes, we plan on posting on TikTok and having a larger TikTok presence than
Yeah.
what we currently do. So also check that out as well. I
Yes.
also leave our personal Instagrams down below as well if you would like to see what our lives are like outside of these two little squares that you see every week.
Yeah, true, true. Yeah, so we appreciate your support. Check out our social medias and stuff. Obviously, there's some
Mhm.
good stuff that come on there. We need to. We're gonna brighten it up. It's not gonna be as like
Yeah,
but
we're gonna
yeah,
add some spice here soon.
a little spice, a little spice. Don't be shy. Add a little more. But so thank you guys for joining. Hope you guys were interested in what we had to say and also like some of our takes and opinions. So check
Yes,
out
and
those influencers that we listed and
drop your guys' favorite influencers as well. We would love
yeah,
to find some new people.
yeah, sounds good. All right. Well, this has been fun. So we will see you all next week. Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings.